Now, what happens when you do something and it doesn't work out and you start to feel really bad? You start kicking yourself. It's like, man, I should have seen that. So you invest in a company and the company goes bankrupt and you lose all your money. It's like, man, I always knew that they were a crappy company. I should never have invested in them.
Obviously not, if you gave them your money.
Right. And that's the thing. You know, it's the old colloquial saying, 20/20 hindsight.
All right.
This is an example of what's called hindsight bias, which is when you make a decision, you have imperfect information, incomplete information. You always will. And later, when you're evaluating that decision, you have far more information than you did at first. Far more.
Yeah.
And so you're able to look back on that decision and say, man, I was really dumb. When really, you're assuming that you had all the information then that you do now, which is not true. And so, hindsight bias, the general message is don't feel bad about things that you should have seen or should have done, because at the time that you made the decision, you didn't know enough. You didn't have the information. You didn't have all the things to make the decision that if you could make it again now, you probably wouldn't make the same decision the first time.
Absolutely.
So if you knew then what you knew now, you wouldn't have done then what you did. And so, if that makes sense.
But you did, so.
But you did, and so there's nothing that you can do about it. So don't waste your time and energy feeling bad about it, because there's nothing that you can do.
This is one of those times when you have to think, it's sunk cost. What do I do from here?
Exactly. This is a great psychological example of sunk cost. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
And one thing that always helps me, because, we all suffer from this to a greater or lesser extent. There's a wonderful quote, big fan quote, Ralph Waldo Emerson, that I think sums this up perfectly.
Yeah.
It says, finish each day and be done with it. You've done what you could. Some blunders and absurdities no doubt crept in. Forget them as soon as you can.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is a new day. Begin it well and serenely and with too high a spirit to be encumbered with your old nonsense.
I like that.
I can't really say it any better than that.
All right.
So,
thank you, Mr. Emerson.
that is hindsight bias.